What is going on, YouTube? Coming back today with my next NBA draft scouting report. So, been about a day since I got the last one uploaded. By the end of tomorrow, we'll have all of the 7 NBA draft and 7 NFL draft done for the week. Like I said, it is my NFL draft and NBA draft scouting report week, and I said one per day, so that's still what you're going to end up getting. So, today I will be doing Brice Johnson. I believe my last one was Tyler Ulis, and the next one coming up will be Taurean Prince. So starting to get down into some of the deeper parts of maybe the later first, early second round picks, some of the more intriguing prospects to me. Some big names in college, and maybe some sleeper guys heading into the NBA draft. So a little bit of background information about Brice Johnson. So he is a 6'9", 230-pound power forward. Some say 6'10" in shoes, depending on who you talk to. Most of the I believe 6'9", though. But like I said, 230-pound senior power forward out of North Carolina. He was, I don't know if he was a 4-year starter. I do pay pretty close attention to you, even though I'm not a huge UNC fan. I do pay pretty close attention to UNC basketball. I know he's been a starter the last 3 years, but anyway, he's from Orangeburg, South Carolina. He's got a 6'11" wingspan, so good, not great. So get into some of his stats first from this past season. 17 points per game, 10.4 rebounds, and 1.5 assists. So good stats there. He was a double-double machine this past year. So get into some of his strengths. The first one is his most obvious strength, and that's his athleticism. So he's got a very good vertical. I believe he's got 38, 39-inch vertical. Like I said, the wingspan's there. He's very quick in transition. For his size, he runs very well up and down the floor. And like I said, the leaping ability, the strength is something that needs to come along a little bit better, but the speed, the agility, the acceleration, the hand-eye coordination, the catch and shoot got a lot better. Most of the measurables and really pretty much every form of athleticism is there for Brice Johnson. So, second strength is he's good as a mid-range scorer and interior scorer. So, he's got a good right-hand hook. The post moves did develop. Brice Johnson, one of the things that people just didn't get about him in college, I feel like, at least in the big picture, was just his development. I'm going to mention that a lot, because coming into college, I feel like he wasn't polished at all. I mean, I feel like he was more of a raw product, and while he didn't develop extremely fast, he developed very well in really every area of his game. Like, you look across the board in blocks, steals, points, rebounds, shooting percentage, free throw percentage, minutes, free throw percentage, literally improved every single year. So, to me, that shows good signs for the NBA. So, get back to what I was saying. He is a good mid-range scorer. This guy that shot about 62% last year. Never took a single three in college, which I didn't know, but that's pretty crazy. And his mid-range scoring developed. It really showed through in the tournament in the latter half of UNC season. He really came alive after, I believe it was a 39 point, 20 rebound game, maybe 38 point against Florida State. I want to say back in December or January, and he just took off after that. He was part of a UNC rotation of bigs that was extremely talented. That's one of the things that UNC was very famous for this year, was their rotation of bigs between him, Theo Pinson, Kennedy Meeks. All of them. It seemed like a very daunting task for opponents to handle. So I think if anything, he still needs a little bit of work with his interior scoring. But like I said, the right-hand hook is there. He can get above defenders. He can dunk. He's good with the catch and shoot, especially from the mid-range area, and makes him extremely hard to guard with that level of athleticism. Let me see if I can find that Florida State game. Yeah, January, 37 points and 23 boards. So, for me, that was really his coming out party. So, third strength is he's extremely versatile, and again, something I don't think he gets a lot of credit for. He developed his mid-range game was just got better every single year in college. That was one of his weaknesses from around his sophomore year. Really, when he was starting, or really when people started looking at him as a legit NBA draft prospect, and he's, like I said, he's developing well everywhere. He turned into a 77% free throw shooter this year from 66 or 67, 68% the year before. He got to the line a lot more, about 1.5 more times per game. And like I said, the free throw or the field goal percentage improved as well. The mid-range game improved. He got better at taking contact in the paint. He got a little bit bigger. I believe he put on about 5 pounds, but I think it was mainly just the mentality, not the strength and weight that was hounding him in the post. And obviously the rebounding's there with 10.4 rebounds per game, and that gets me into his next strength, which he's a great rebounder. He crashes the offensive boards very well. Like I said, he's got good athleticism. He can get to the rim. The size isn't great, 6'9", maybe not the desired size you want for a mid-range and interior scorer in the NBA, but it's also not terrible. I mean, there's a lot worse. When you're talking about this level of athleticism, the only knock I have against him is sometimes it seems like he gets pushed out of the post on the box out, but he's very quick. He's got quick hands, and he can get up and pull down quite a few offensive boards. I mean, like I said, rebounding, I believe that rebounding improved from 7.7 to 10.4, 10.5 rebounds per game from 2014, 2015 to 2015, 2016. So that bodes extremely well for NBA teams. Anyway, move on to his fifth and last strength I'm going to get into, and he's developed well defensively. This is a guy that was averaging less than 1 steal per game, almost less than 1 block per game, and less than 10 rebounds per game. One of his biggest knocks has been his fundamental defensive play. Like I said, the athleticism and defensive potential is there. Just with his overall measurables, the wingspan's good, 6'11" wingspan's nothing to knock, and just his overall leaping ability. But I think the defensive fundamentals got better. His lateral quickness got a lot better it seemed like as the years went along. There's a good video of him against Brandon Ingram, where even though Brandon Ingram might not have the strongest motor in college basketball, he was obviously one of the best players in college basketball, and Brice Johnson hung with him pretty well. He plays very tight D. Like he actually got a lot better at playing straight up defense this year, staying really step for step with guys on defense, and he was able to draw out and defend some of the better 3s and 4s in college basketball this year. All right, so getting some of his weaknesses, and again, let me highlight before I get into this, because when you talk about his weaknesses, it does bring up some red flags just in your mind of, like, do you really think this guy is worth maybe a late lottery pick or even a first-round pick? And I'll get into that later, but just keep in mind how well he developed during his 4 years. If you watched him a lot, you knew this, but if you don't and you're just trying to get some background information, keep that in mind. So first one is his lack of killer instinct at times during his college career. And like I said, it really took until that Florida State game in January for him to finally realize that full potential that he could in college and finally get in that spotlight as, UNC's probably their best player, at least their biggest offensive weapon. And the potential was there the entire time. I feel like it took a long time for him to get that confidence, that offensive polish to be able to be as much of a scoring threat as he is capable of being. Now, like I said, it did develop, and it honestly, once it came along, he was pretty consistent. So that's a good thing. I guess just the only red flag would be it took 3.5 years to get there. So, second weakness is he avoids contact in the paint at times, and I mentioned this earlier. While he is a great rebounder, and his rebounding improved dramatically this year, and his offensive rebounding was also extremely impressive. Now, one thing you could say is it was largely due to help from other bigs in the paint, but Kennedy Meeks was while he wasn't extremely present the year before, he was injured a lot. He was still injured a little bit this year. Theo Pinson helped out a little bit. Some people say that. I don't think that's a valid argument for why Brice Johnson's rebounding numbers improved. I just think that he just finally, like I said, finally got that killer instinct. But yeah, it is true. He, for a guy that gets so many touches in the paint, 4.3 free throws per game. Well, it's not terrible, not great. I mean, this guy didn't, to be honest, he didn't get that many minutes. UNC had a really deep rotation. This year was his peak minutes, and it was only 27.3. If you watch some of my other scouting report videos, you'll see minutes anywhere from, I'd say around 29 is the average, to some of the players playing the heaviest minutes. Like Brandon Ingram was playing like 36 minutes a game, like some crazy numbers like that. I mean, that's not normal, but 27.3 is a little bit slight for being, like I said, probably their best offensive weapon. But, like I said, there's not much to say about this. It improved, but it is true. Sometimes he did get pushed out of the post. Sometimes he didn't get as good a box out as you would want him to get inside the paint, especially for a guy of that size. And even though he's not the biggest guy in the paint, he still is pretty strong. And again, sometimes it seemed like he could have got better position, and it just seemed like he lacked the fundamental awareness to be able to crash the boards and get some rebounds that he should have been able to pull down. All right, so third weakness is paint moves still need developing, and it is true. He lacks advanced moves in the post. I think it's something that can be developed. Like I said, this guy seems like he developed every part of his game, from steals to field goal percentage to free throw percentage, anything you can think. But I think the drop step needs a little bit of work. His overall footwork in the paint, body position, some of those things. I think just a good bigs coach in the NBA, or maybe learning from one of the better 4s or 5s in the NBA, will go a long way to helping him develop some better post moves, and a little bit better footwork. Like I said, he's got a good right hand hook. He can hit faders, and he can back you down and get you to the rim and dunk on you. It was done multiple times this year. And a lot of times he doesn't need that. Like I said, he turned into a very, very good mid-range scorer, and his face-up game dramatically improved this year. But the paint, like I said, the paint moves definitely still need developing. So the fourth one, and maybe I'd say probably the biggest one, is he still lacks fundamental, or he's still pretty poor when it comes to fundamental defense. Like I said, it got better, but it's still something that needs touching up. The lateral quickness came along pretty well. The body position got a little bit better, but the body position definitely still needs work. The off-ball awareness needs work. The pick and roll communication and pick and roll defense and switches definitely need work. Playing against so many pick and roll offenses, and even ISOs at times, when you had to come over and help or double, it seemed like the communication was just slow. Yeah, I think it's something that just, hopefully it improves. Like I said, every sign that he's shown in college shows that this dude's just all for improvement, will work hard and basically get everything done to become a top-notch power forward in the NBA. So that does it for the strengths and weaknesses. So I want to get into his NBA projections and really where I think he's going to go in the draft. So, it's hard to get a read on him. There was a time when Brice Johnson, I think the highest I had Brice Johnson going was number 12 in my mock drafts. And this past one, I'd have to look at where I had him. But it's been crazy, some of the swings he's seen in his draft stock. And really, I don't know why his draft stock's dropped so far. I don't know if people just, like I said, they're red flags the weaknesses do become red flags if you do look too hard at them. Like, it's more apparent than a lot of other players. It takes time for you to sit down and watch his film to notice. And a lot of people watch UNC pretty heavily this year. Some people might know what I'm talking about, and it might just be me overanalyzing the weaknesses. But I feel like that is that can be a red flag to a lot of teams. And I think something that teams just need to sit down and say, hey, like, we're looking at a kid with almost a 7-foot wingspan, almost Actually, it might be a 40-inch vertical. Like I said, I haven't seen a vertical measured for him since his freshman year. So that might have improved. That might have gotten worse. Who knows? But in NBA Draft .net's last mock draft, they actually have him going 16 to the Boston Celtics. I think that I don't know how good a fit it would be with the Celtics. I like it. I think they need. I've mentioned multiple times they need help down low, but I feel like they've already got some Brice Johnson types down low. Sullinger and him aren't completely alike, but him and Olynyk do share some consistencies with their offensive versatility and defensive struggles. But I think he fits in extremely well with, I've had him going to Detroit once. I think that works extremely well. I think they need a little bit of help at the 4. And then Indiana, I really like what he would be able to bring to a small ball offense that's trying to move forward. And one more that I've mentioned multiple times is the Pelicans. I like his fit with the Pelicans. I mean, obviously the Pelicans need help all over the place, but I think having that versatile 1-2 punch of Anthony Davis and Brice Johnson down low would be extremely hard to stop. That would be two guys that can really stretch you out inside, and just at a level of athleticism would be really hard to defend. Now, when you're talking about averages, this is where it gets really tough. Like, I don't really know. Like I said, it's hard to get a read. It really, for me, it starts with where he goes in the draft. If some team really does take him in the lottery, then they're going to, I definitely think that they're going to be able to get, I think they'll be able to get his full potential out of him. I think this is a guy that needs to be thrown into the fire early. I think that'll be the best situation for him. With a decent team in a decent situation, this isn't going to be, Brice Johnson's not a Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram type where he's going to turn into your face of the franchise immediately. This is a guy where if you need someone to stretch the floor inside and you need a little bit of help rebounding, then he's the guy. But if you're looking for a guy that's going to become your anchor down low, try to bully people in the post, it's just the strength and post moves aren't there for him. All right, so that pretty much does it. If I could give you guys averages, I'll go with 10 points, 7 rebounds in a situation where he gets drafted around late lottery, maybe early 20s. But yeah, that pretty much does it. Like I said, Brice Johnson's a guy that I mentioned it a lot. I don't really know why, but one of my favorite parts about college basketball is just good fundamental post play. I really appreciate like the old-fashioned fundamentals and people really just being able to take advantage of their size, athleticism, and really showing something that I can't do. Like, that sounds weird. Like, I'm not a guy to live vicariously through others. I get that this sounds weird, but like, if I'm gonna pay for, entertainment, I want to see something that I can't do and I can really appreciate, and good fundamental post moves from a guy like Andre Drummond, or old school Dwight Howard, Al Jefferson, Hassan Whiteside, those types. Obviously, that's something that a guy like me could not do. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, Torn Prints coming up tomorrow. If you've not seen the rest of the playlist yet, I'll put the link to the entire playlist for my NBA draft scouting reports in the description below. Just give you guys a little recap of what I've done so far. Obviously, this video was Brice Johnson. I've also done Tyler Ulis, Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, Buddy Hield, Jaylen Brown, and Ivan Rabb. And then, like I said, Torn Prince is coming up tomorrow, and then probably Dragan Bender as well, since I was not able to get those done. Also, look out for my next NFL draft one, Jared Goff, right in the middle of an interesting quarterback situation between Jared Goff and Carson Wentz in my videos. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the but maybe the most complicated. So, go ahead and start with just his background information, stats from last year, that sort of thing. So, he's a freshman from LSU, number 1 recruit going into this past year. Gave LSU all sorts of hype going into the season, which obviously did not pan out, losing 71-38 in their final.